Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone, this is Mr. Happy and this is our series about the Ielts exam. Today we're going to go over the speaking test. Before we had lots of videos, some of them were live about the listening, the reading and the writing sections. But today we're going to go over the speaking section. I'm going to tell you something about the speaking section, like the key facts about the speaking test. Also, I'm going to tell you about the 4 parts of the speaking test, and I am going to tell you how the examiner assessed you on 4 criteria. So please don't panic if this video is in English, because on the speaking test you're going to speak only English with a native speaker, so you have to get used to that. Let's get started. The speaking test is the 4th section in the Ielts exam, and it cannot be in the same day with the listening, reading and writing section. This is number 1 I want you to know. Number 2 is the speaking test is the same in general training and academic module. There is no difference. I told you before that the difference is only in the reading and writing sections, okay? Number 3 I want you to know is the test timing. The test timing is from 11 to 14 minutes. We have 3 parts. The first part is 4 to 5 minutes. The second one 2 to 3 minutes, and the last one, or part number 3, is 4 to 5 minutes also. So altogether is about 14 minutes. I want you to know also that in the Ielts exam you are not going to talk to the computer like in the TOEFL exam. You are going to talk to someone, the examiner. It can be male or female, it doesn't matter to you. You're going to talk to somebody, not to the computer like in the TOEFL exam. Okay, after that we have, as I told you, we have 4 parts, part 1, 2 and 3, and there is part 0 before all of them. When you get into the exam room and the examiner is gonna ask you 4 questions, I am going to tell you about them later on, okay? You also need to know about the criteria. The examiner assess your spoken English according to 4 criteria. Number 1 is fluency and coherence. And actually this criteria is not only 1, it's 2. Fluency means the flow of your English, how you speak English naturally. You are not memorizing some sentences, okay? And number 2 is the coherence. It means how you connect words all together using the cohesive devices. Okay, this is number 1, fluency and coherence. Number 2 is the lexical resources. I mean the vocabulary, how widely you use English vocabulary in the Ielts exam. If you say I think, every time you say this, the examiner will get an idea that you are not very good at English, because you can only say I think, you can't say I guess, in my point of view, I imagine, like this, okay? Number 3 is the grammatical range and accuracy. How widely you use grammatical sentences and sentence structure, and how correctly you use also the grammatical sentences. If you're using present, past and future simples, are you using passive sentences, or are you using direct and indirect speech? This is very important. Number 4 is your pronunciation. And let me tell you something, if you're Egyptian or Jordanian, Saudi or Chinese even, you are not going to be assessed on your accent. So in Ielts exam, accents are okay. Accents are okay, but the pronunciation does matter. So if you have pronunciation, if you mispronounce some words, this will be marked wrong and you will not get 7 or higher. Let's talk about part 1 first. And by the way, if you are talking to the examiner and you said something wrong, okay, you can correct yourself, and this will be good for you because, as I told you, the IELTS speaking test should be natural, should be a natural conversation like what I'm doing with you now. I am trying to talk to you in English in one shot. I am not going to cut this video in the video editing because I am going to show you how I correct myself when I speak something wrong, and this will be good for you, okay? In part 1 you have 4 questions. In part 0 you have 4 questions. The first one, the examiner is gonna say good morning or good evening according to the time you're having the test. Then he or she is gonna ask you about your name. So what's your name? He should say your name, and be careful. Don't ask the examiner about his or her name. This is number 1. Number 2, how can I call you, or what can I call you? Please call me Mr. Happy. Please call me Mr. Happy. Question number 3, where are you from? Or could you tell me where you come from? Say, I am originally from Egypt. Don't say I am from Kafr Sheikh or I am from Munufiyya, because the examiner might not know anything about Munufiyya or even Kafr Sheikh, okay? The question number 4 in part 0, could you show me your identification card? Identification card means ID card. You should say, sure, here you are. Okay, and be careful, don't ask the examiner any question, because this is not a dialogue or a conversation or even an interview. This is a real test. This is part 0, and part 0 is not assessed, is not marked, okay? Part 1, and here the exam, the real exam starts. In part 1, there are some main topics the examiner is going to ask you. The first question may be like, do you work or you study? Do you work or you study? If you work, say, I work as a teacher. If you study, say, I'm a student, I am not a worker, or I don't work right now. Okay, then the examiner is going to ask you about your home. Where do you live, and how big is your home, and what's in your living room, and how many people are there in your family, and do you live in a city or in the country? Okay, after that the examiner is going to ask you about your hometown, where were you born, and your neighborhood, the weather, and the kinds of transportation in your city or in your county. Okay, this is part 1, and there are 3 main topics in part 1, and there are also more than 10 topics which are familiar in part 1. Like, let me read them for you: family, friends, hobbies, weather, happiness, sport, food, clothes, school, flowers, shopping, computers, going out, newspapers, childhood, holidays, dictionaries, and transportation. This is part 1, okay? Part 1, as I told you, it takes from 4 to 5 minutes, or actually from, let me check it, from 4 to 5 minutes, okay? Part 2 takes from 3 to 4 minutes, and in part 2, this is a very good part for some people, and it's very hard for others. Why? Because the examiner gives you a cue card or a task card or a topic card, and you have to take this card and take notes. They will give you a pencil and a paper, a sheet of paper, to take notes on the cue card, okay? And you will be given only 1 minute to take notes, and you need to take notes clockwise, like this, not randomly. After that, you will be given 2 minutes to talk about the task in your cue card. You will answer probably 3 or 4 questions. And be careful, don't stop talking unless the examiner stops you, okay? Don't finish your speech and say, or do like this. No, you should keep talking, and don't worry if the examiner stops you, okay? This is task 2, or part 2 in the speaking test. Part 3 is the most complex part, or the most difficult part, because the examiner is going to have a discussion, a further question or further questions with you about the topic you've just talked about. So don't worry if the examiner did ask you about some questions which seem to be very difficult to you. And here in part 3, you need to give your opinion. You need to be alert. And don't worry if you disagree with the examiner's point of view. Okay? Now, I have finished the 4 parts. The first one is the introduction. The second one is the interview. The third one is a talk. The fourth one is a discussion. Let me give you some quick tips before we end this video. Number 1, make a good eye contact with the examiner. Okay, make a good eye contact with the examiner. Number 2, the speaking test should be a natural conversation. As I told you, if you make a mistake in pronunciation or grammar, don't worry if you stop and correct yourself. The examiner will feel that your English is good enough because you have the ability to correct yourself. Okay? Number 3, listen carefully to the examiner's questions and make sure that you are using the same tense that the examiner uses. And also make sure that you are not using the same words as the examiner. For example, if the examiner asks you about how many people are there in your family, don't say there are 5 people in my family. Say I have 5 people in my family. My family consists of 5 people. Only 5 people in my family. My dad, my mom, my brother, and my 2 sisters. By the way, I have no sisters. So don't copy the words of the examiner and use them, because you need to use your own vocabulary. Number 4, don't simply answer questions with yes or no. If the examiner asks you, do you like pizza? Don't simply say yes and stop. No, you should say, yeah, I love it. Yes, I love it. Or you should say, pizza, yummy, it's yummy, or it's delicious, or I love pizza the best. Okay, you should use full sentences. Number 5, in part 2, don't read directly from your notes. You should only take looks at them. Okay. Number 6, make it easy for the examiner to understand you without effort, because if the examiner understands you without effort, like you are understanding me, I am sure that you will be marked high and you will get 7 or higher. Organize your ideas clockwise. Like if you are writing your ideas in part 2, organize them clockwise, not randomly, just to be easy for you when you want to talk in the 2 minutes you will be given. Answer all the questions as fully as you can. Don't give short answers, because this is an exam to assess your language level indeed. It's very important also to give your opinion. Don't be shy to disagree with the examiner or to say, oh, I am sorry, but I don't agree completely with your idea, because actually it's not the examiner's own idea. It's just an idea to let you talk. To practice your intonation and your pronunciation very well, I recommend you to listen to some movies or some recordings and try to imitate the sounds of the native speakers of English, like what I'm doing right now. If I am not 100%, but I am doing my best to get that. Okay? Number 12, record yourself in an Ielts speaking test, like what I am doing with my students whom I teach. I let them speak in the part 1 and record it. It's better to record it in a video like what I'm doing, then you give it to a teacher or you assist yourself by yourself. Okay? Thank you very much. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Happy Adee. Happy, Happy, Adee, A-D-E-E. Also, my page on Facebook is Learn English with Mr. Happy. I'll be happy to find your comments below, and also don't forget to like and share this video to all of your friends. Thank you very much and goodbye.